detailed explanation in the Haggadah. As we all know, the Haggadah starts, the beginning in the Haggadah, it starts in Aramaic. Nachon? Ha-lahma'aniya. Ha-lahma'aniya. This bread, I'm just translating Aramaic to English, this bread, what it means bread, we're talking about the poor bread, it said there, ha-lahma'aniya. Aniya, it means poor person. That's the bread that the poor person used to eat. But it said that the achlua batanya, that our father eaten in Egypt, during the time of the slavery. And then it's a very important thing in the end, Leshana ba'a b'nei horim. That means, in the end, next year, we should be free. The question here, are we free or are we not free? So, let's see what we're talking, let's try to explain. And let's see what the Gemara say, how our sages look at it, and we try to explain. The Gemara in Masechet Psachim, page Lamed Vav Amud Aleph, that means 36, folio 1. There Hazal explained that the matzah is actually a poor person bread. Why? Because it's made from flour and water, nothing else inside. So it's called lechem oni. Okay? Hazal explained that there is here a very deep meaning on that. What is the deep meaning in that matzah? That Hazal explained that when we eat the matzah in Pesach, what is the main reason for it? Why do we eat matzah in Pesach? So we know, and according to the pshat of the Dvarim, what the Torah tells us, that when the Jewish people left Egypt, they didn't have enough time to bake the bread, so they bake unleavened bread, and that's why we eat matzah. Yes?
I have a problem with that, because the Torah beforehand tells you to eat matzah before they left Egypt.
Nachon.
So therefore, that 18 minutes or that giving time is actually irrelevant, because you were actually told beforehand to actually eat matzah.
So
why all of it?
very good. You remember last year we spoke about it. Why it's al-Ahmaniya? Today I'm bringing it different. Why is the Jewish people suddenly have to eat bread? And we brought what the Even Ezra, I don't know if you remember last year's shiur, exactly the first shiur that we start, and we brought the Even Ezra. The Even Ezra said that we brought the explanation that in Egypt, the prisoner used to eat matzah, unleavened bread. You remember that? So the Even Ezra actually, the Even Ezra lived around 900 years ago, just below 900 years ago. And he toured all over the world. When he gone to Egypt, he checked exactly what you're saying. And he gone to see in the jail what they're feeding the prisoner. That's 800 and odd years ago. That they used to eat, they used to give the prisoner unleavened bread. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew that the Jewish people going to be in Egypt in a slavery, and the Egyptian going to give them unleavened bread. So to get used to that bread, that they can adjust it and they can stomach it, that's why they eaten matzah. Now, what is it that? But now the question that you must ask, how's that reflecting us? That's what we're going to try to ask today. What is the matzah reflecting us today, besides the positive command that we have in the Torah, that we're obligated to eat matzah on Pesach? That's a positive command. And not only that, we have a negative command, that Chas v'Shalom, that if you don't eat matzah on Pesach, that's mean on the first night of Pesach, that's an obligation, you didn't fulfill a mitzvah. And Chas v'Shalom, if you eat hametz on Pesach, you have karet. Do you know what I'm saying? But the question that we decide to speak about, that I decide to speak about, and to share it with you, it's the idea behind the matzah. What is the matzah come to tell us? What's the idea behind the matzah? Why it's so important to us to eat matzah on Pesach? That's the question. And Nocha, let's make the question a bit more difficult. All year round, okay, we're eating hametz. Not only that we're eating hametz, correct me if I'm wrong, we obligated to respect the hametz. That means when we eat hametz during the year, if we see bread on the floor, we picking it up. We're not allowed to throw bread.
The bread is hametz for Pesach, not for all the year.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, that hametz all year around, we're allowed to eat it. We're allowed to enjoy it. Not only that, we have to...
It's not called chametz during the year.
Sorry?
Doesn't call
No,
it
no,
chametz.
I'm saying that on Pesach, but the bread himself, all year around, we obligate to look after it. If we find bread on the floor, we obligate to pick it up, to kiss it, to put it aside. We're not allowed to throw bread on the floor. And Hazal tell us something else, the Gemara say. That when a person hang bread, what does it mean hanging bread? That putting bread on a plastic bag and hanging it, italu me'ar, that's the Gemara's word. That means that the inside of his stomach, has v'shalom, going to be hanged. What does it mean? That he's going to become a poor person. That the person that doesn't have respect to bread, has v'shalom, can be punished to become a poor person. So here come Pesach, and now we're abstaining from the bread. Not only that we abstain from the bread, we're obligated to destroy it. We burned it, completely destroy it for 7 days. Or in the diaspora for 8 days. How come? All year it's 100%, we obligate to respect it. Here come Pesach, we obligated to abstain from it. That's what I said, that's on a pshat. But there is something more deep into it. Zecher L'Yetziat Mitzrayim, we said that, but there is something more deep into it. So let's start with what Hazal telling us. Hazal telling us that a bread represents luxury, pleasure, spoilness. When matzah represents, do with little. Do with what you have, with the little that you have. Hazal come and tell us that there is here something very important. All year around, I allowed you to enjoy bread. I allowed you to eat bread. I allowed you to actually enjoy the bread and to spoil yourself. Because many people love to eat bread. There's a pleasure with eating bread. I'm not talking about those ones that are not allowed to eat, or those ones that don't like. But in general, bread is something that everyone enjoys. So Hazal come and tell us, once a year, the Torah tells us not to eat bread. You know why? To teach us self-control. All year around, we're allowed to enjoy all the pleasure there is in our life. To eat kosher, to eat whatever. Once a year, for 7 days, I ask you to be in self-control. What does it mean? That you're going to show yourself that you control your desire, you control everything that you want to do. Once a year, you're going to be the boss. By eating matzah and Pesach, and putting the hametz aside, not only that we're not allowed to eat it, we're not allowed to see it, that we're doing a self-discipline to ourselves, as I'll say. By that the person take on himself once a year to be in control, that he knows he's the boss. He knows that he can control his desire. Because otherwise, when a person doesn't have a self-control, has v'shalom, that will bring, instead of self-control, to a self-destruction. Because when a person follows his own personal desire, whatever he wants, he can do. There is no stop to anything. Where is it going to end up? Self-destruction. Yes,
What's
Russell.
the difference then with that self-control, the self-control of keeping kosher, of keeping Shabbos, of keeping all the... It's exactly the same things. Why is this more special?
Exactly. That's what I thought today when I was reading those notes, because I always read the note before.
I mean, I could
What's the difference?
I would love to have a cheeseburger, but
Nachon? You have a self-control. I tell you what's the difference. Because cheese control, or pork, or whatever you want to call it, I'm not allowed all year around. Nachon? By that I'm allowed that all year around except 7 days a week. And I'm saying to myself, even on things that the Torah tell me that I can enjoy it, I'm going to put stop to it. You know why? Because when I do stop to it, that's the real self-control. Because all year round I'm allowed to eat non-kosher, to eat pork, to eat milk and meat, whatever you want to call it, like you say, cheeseburger. All year around, the Torah tell me that I'm not allowed. Nachon. But here come a thing that I'm allowed. The Torah come to teach me even things that you allow during the years to enjoy, not only bread. Sometimes you have to know when to stop. That when you stop, when things that you enjoy all year around, you're in control. You are really in control. All year around that I'm not allowed, because the Torah tell me, I don't know if I'm in control or not. I control my Yetzer Hara. But here, the things that I'm allowed to do all year around, to enjoy them, and I can eat them, and I must respect them. Once a year, for 7 days, or in a diaspora for 8 days, the Torah tell me, you're going to control yourself. How are you going to control yourself? You're going to do it yourself as self-control. That means it's not only bread, it's everything in life the Torah come to tell us. That when we're eating matzah on Pesach, we must remember, not like many people said to me, I'm eating cardboard on Pesach. Look at the positive part of it. That the Torah teaches, Hazal teaches us, you're learning self-control. Even things that you're allowed. So when we're going to sit on Pesach night and we're going to eat that matzah, we have to remember it's a self-discipline. That's what the matzah is. That's the other point of view to look at the matzah on Pesach. Any question? No, let's continue. Later on, the Torah tell us, the Haggadah tell us that it's a mitzvah לספר ביציאת מצרים. That means it's a positive command. There is an obligation to speak about the exodus of Mitzrayim. Everyone remember that, נכון? We see that there is something very interesting in Haggadah, that it tells us that in Pesach night, we obligated to praise the Almighty, to speak about the exodus of Mitzrayim. Not only that we obligated to speak about it, that the person that praised the Almighty or speak about the exodus of Mitzrayim, the glorify that HaKadosh Baruch Hu done for us, and thanks HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's a praiseworthy. וכל המרבה לספר ביציאת מצרים, הרי זה משובח. A person that, as much that he speak more about the Yetziat Mitzrayim, Rabotai, listen to it, he's a praiseworthy. Why? Did you ask yourself? All year around we mention, twice a day we mention Yetziat Mitzrayim, at least. נכון? שמע עשרה? In our 18. But there is something here more deep. Not only that we see something very important from Hazal. Hazal tell us something very interesting. Hazal tell us that a story about our sages, Rabbi Akiva and the rest of the sages, שהיו מסובים בבני ברק. That they were sitting in a seder in Bnei Brak. And we explained why Dafka Bnei Brak. You remember why Dafka Bnei Brak? Rabbi Akiva in Bnei Brak, what's the connection? And a matter of fact, Rabbi Akiva's rabbi was there, Rabbi Eliezer. He was the rabbi of Rabbi Akiva. And we explained the only reason that it's mentioned Bnei Brak, because Rabbi Akiva was the Mara Da'ata of Bnei Brak, the chief rabbi of Bnei Brak. And when he was the chief rabbi of Bnei Brak, he can sit, because a student not allowed to sit and to speak in the front of his rabbi. That's what we explained last year. But today, I want to especially brought it to teach us that our sages were so busy speaking about the exodus of Mitzrayim until the student come, ואמרו להם, רבותיי, הגיע זמן קריאת שמע של שחרית. That means that they were so busy speaking about the exodus of Mitzrayim that they didn't take notice of the time that the sons was start.
What about eating the wine?
Sorry?
Drinking of the wine and the matzah.
Yeah, but that's until when? Until Hatzot. But here it's telling you, הגיע הזמן, קריאת שמע של שחרית. That means that the sun was already rising.
What I'm saying is the science about the whole shutting out the whole, so it doesn't say that they interrupted the meal.
שהיו מסובים בבני ברק. What it means שהיו מסובים? That they was gathered together. מסובים is together. And מספרים ביציאת מצרים, that they was talking about the exodus of מצרים. Because until when we obligated to finish the Afikoman? Hatzot. Hatzot is midnight. Here we're talking about, when did the student come to tell him, Rabotai, it's time to say Kriyat Shema? When the sun starts rising. Nachon? So, we see from here, from our sages, that it's very important mitzvah. Why is it so important? And we have to understand why does it tell us. So, Hazal tell us something very important. I'm going to bring one from the Gemara and one from Likutei Muhuram, and I'll explain. The Gemara, in Masechet Brachot, page 10, folio 1, tell us something very interesting. אפילו חרב הדם מונחה על צווארו של האדם, אל יתייאש מן הרחמים. I'm going to translate. Hazal tell us in Masechet Brachot, page 10, folio 1, something very interesting. A sharp sword been put on a human being neck must never give up hope. נכון? Rabbi Natan Mibraslev, he was the student of Rabbi Nachman. He wrote the book Likutei Muhuram. What is Likutei Muhuram? It's all the shiurim that Rabbi Nachman brought. Muhuram, Morenu veRabbenu Arav Nachman. And he's in Batra, page 78, yes, he say, En Yeush Le'olam. There is no such thing, no hope. En Yeush Le'olam. You must never say to yourself that Has v'Shalom, there is no hope. All the time a person should say to himself, I have a hope. The speaking about the exodus of Mitzrayim, to teach us one thing, Hazal say. You know what is it? Not to lose hope. That's me. Hazal tell us in a Midrash that if you look at Egypt, what's happened in Egypt? And that's the lesson that we have to learn by speaking and praising and glorifying the Almighty and thanking the Almighty on Pesach night. What's happened in Mitzrayim? Hazal tell us, and we see also from the Torah, that Pharaoh was a witchcrafter, nachon? And you have Hartumim that was dealing with witchcrafting. Hazal come and tell us in the Midrash that the entire Egypt was surrounded with witchcrafting. That means that when a slave was in Egypt, he can never be a free man. That means him and his children and his grandchildren. For life, he's a slave. You can never be a free man. And here comes HaKadosh Baruch Hu against all the odds, that we were slave to a slave, because the Egyptian was slave at the beginning. How do we know that they were slave? Who bought the entire Egypt? Yosef, you remember? So the Egyptians themselves were slaves. So what they done, they turned the law and they make the Jewish people slave, because we are really the masters, because Yosef bought them all up. And they make a law that the Jewish people will never go for freedom, and all of those that was slave before can never go anymore to freedom. Come HaKadosh Baruch Hu and tell us, oh, when you start to lose hope, that's not good. Not only that, we see another sample. There's many more. I'm going to bring one more sample. We see from Avraham and Sarah. Avraham was in the age of 100, nachon? Sarah was in the age of 90. There's nothing to talk about. Kids in the age of 90 and 100. Anyone dispute that? Not only medically, there's nothing to talk. Here come HaKadosh Baruch Hu and change nature. Abraham have a child that called Yitzhak Avinu. Sarah Imenu have a child that called Yitzhak Avinu. Against all the odds. And not only that, that Yitzhak have the same image of Abraham. That whoever used to look about Yitzhak was thinking that that's Abraham Avinu. So no one will say, Has v'shalom, that it was from Avimelech, like we explained in the previous showing. So it's come to tell us that when we're sitting in a Seder night, and we speak about Pesach, and we're praising HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we're glorifying HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we're thanking Him for redeeming us. You know what is it? It's come to teach us a personal lesson. Not to lose hope. All the time there is hope. But with that come one more important thing. With that come one small little thing that we say. That we have to do the first step. What does it mean? That the same like Bnei Israel, when they was in Egypt, they have to do the first step. What is it then? Vayzaku v'alta'al shav'atam el Elohim. That suddenly they decide that it's enough. There is no one else to turn to. They scream to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when they scream to HaKadosh Baruch Hu listen to them. To teach us one important thing. If we want not to lose hope, not to give up, there's one thing. We have to do the first step. We have to scream to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And especially on those difficult times, that all the Jews are all over the world, in Eretz Israel, we see what's happening with our cousins. Our cousins blowing up themselves all over the world, going ballistic. But the Zohar said that 9 months before the Mashiach come, the children of Ishmael ya'asu mehumot gdolot ba'olam. They will cause chaos all over the world for 9 months before the Mashiach come. Until the Mashiach starts revealing himself. So in those difficult times, that the Jewish people all over the world, and no one can say that we don't have a threat. No one else. No country in the world say that she doesn't have a threat from terrorism. No country in the world say that we're free of terrorism. Especially now. On Pesach night, Rabotai, Hazal say, Benisan nig'alu, Benisan atidim li'ga'el. HaKadosh Baruch Hu redeemed us when? On the month of Nisan. When He can redeem us? On the same month, Nisan. Please God, I'll do a show about it also, we'll explain about it. But now, let's go back. We said that in Sefer Shmo, chapter 2, verse 23, we mentioned, Vayzaku. Vayzaku, what does it mean? They shout, they scream. Vatal shav'atam el Elokim. Rabota, if we scream to HaKadosh Baruch Hu this Pesach, and we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please redeem us. Ganug is ganug, enough is enough. How many people we lost? How much blood been spilled? What's happening in the world is not normal. If we scream to HaKadosh Baruch Hu from the bottom of the heart, the same like Bnei Israel screamed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Mitzrayim, when we realize that there is no one to rely, we can't rely on Mr. Obama, we can't rely on none of our friends that they pretend to be our friends, or none of our politicians that they're not politicians, that they're actually a joke. Remember, Moti, what we spoke last night? A joke. It's a disgrace that a soldier, when I saw the footage this morning in Arutz Sheva, in handcuffs, a soldier that defends himself, a terrorist come to kill him, we in a war, and they put the handcuffs on him to go to a court-martial. That's a disgrace, Rabbi. We got to that such state. That our own children soldier going to be led in handcuffs. What has he done? He defended himself. That's all what he done. He's in a war. The guy come to kill him. So if we really take ourselves seriously this Pesach, lift up our eyes to the heaven and we scream to Hashem, I'm sure that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will hear us and will redeem us and will send Mashiach Tzidkenu b'meira be'amenu amen ken yeh ratzon.